It's time now for sports. The Athletics Federation of Nigeria has begun a selection of athletes for the 22nd African Senior Championships holding in Mauritius. Now, in 2018, Nigeria hosted the last edition of the championships in Asaba, Delta State, finishing third on the medals table and with 9 gold, 5 silver, and 6 bronze medals behind Kenya and South Africa. About 30 countries are on the list of preliminary entries for the 22nd African Senior Championships scheduled for June 8 to 12, 2022. The African Athletics Confederation has set May 2nd as a closing date for final entries. Last year, Nigeria's men and women 4x100 meters as well as the 4x400 meters relay teams had a last-minute qualification for the Tokyo Olympics, severely missed chances. Well, let's talk about this very closely, looking at the fact that the African Senior Athletics Championship has been started trials for Nigeria's representative. Well, joining me this morning is Olympian gold medalist 4x400 meter Sydney 2000 Enefiok Odobong. Thank you so much for being here with us this morning on Breakfast Central. I can rightly say, Amisire.
Joe, thank you so much. It's my pleasure being here.
All right, it's good to have you here this morning. So we cannot overlook the successes of Nigerian track and field stars like Favour Fili, Enoch Adegoke, not forgetting to Grace Nkwocha, to mention a few. Now, has their achievements so far opened the eyes of budding athletes to the importance of local meets?
Funny you use the word budding because it's part of the word I'll use to describe them too, despite the fact that they've achieved so much. Last year in the World Junior Championships, Favour and Ima Bongoko and a host of others did Nigeria proud, winning 3 gold medals in the World Athletics Championships. And a lot of them have continued this year to go on to do well in the collegiate championship. Favour has been outstanding. Running 21.97 in the 200 meters, breaking Kabari's national record. And she's become the first Nigerian and only the second African to run sub 11, because she ran 10.92 in the 100 meters, sub 11 and sub 22 in the 100 and 200. So that's an outstanding athlete. And she's coming out at the right time because with the unfortunate incident of Blessing Akambari, who has carried the torch for Nigeria for almost a decade, we now see that we wouldn't miss her so much. We have other Favour Ash running in the 100 meters. We have a host of others, Ruth Usoro in the long jump and triple jump. So I think Grace Walkocha on the screen there. We think that the collection of Nigerian sprinters at this moment are those that were budding and are just beginning to flourish. And the African Championships and ultimately the World Championship later in the year and the Commonwealth Games are avenues or platforms in which we think and we believe that they will flourish.
All right. Well, let's look at this one as well. Now, Toby and Musan's mission to rewrite the 100 meters hurdles, that's 12.44 second record that was held by Gloria Lozier, was actually thwarted by a malfunction in their timing device at the trials in 2021. Now, and if you're, how certain are we that this year would definitely be different?
Well, the Federation has been taking a lot of steps to make sure that things are right. We cannot be too sure that the record would have been broken at that trial. We are just guessing based on the form she was and on the race that Okabari ran in that race. Be it, as we know now, may not be a very, not done in a very legal way. But a lot of things have been happening. The Federation has announced competitions that will prepare the athletes for the championship. The Association of the Athletics Coaches Association of Nigeria too have lined up competitions. They've had about 3 or 4 competitions that will prepare athletes. So the athletes are getting enough competitions, and a lot of them are coming up this May because the African Championship is early June. And the African Championship in itself is good for the home-based athletes because a lot of our top athletes like Ophili won't be available because they'll be running the NCAA Championships. So the African Championship itself, it's a trial for the World Championships, where everybody who's who in Nigeria, the Enochs, the Phillies, everybody will come together and run to Nigeria. But I think what we can be very proud as Nigerians that this is a new dawn, the beginning of a new era, because I don't think in the history of our track and field, in the history of athletics in this country, 65 years or so of existence, that we've seen a collection of talented athletes come out at the same time, both male and female. It's amazing, and we can only we shouldn't even forget where we're talking about Philly and the rest. We remember that Ash ran 9.79, although it was wind aided. But in any way, that's an outstanding race. So
Standing race.
I think we're on the right track.
Let's look at it now. In the wake of the, we're going to talk about the ban, no doubt. The ban issued on Nigeria's former sprinter, that's Blessing Okagbare. I'm sure you were also not happy about that. But is there a cause for alarm for Nigeria's future representation at the international meet?
As a country, there's no cause for alarm because athletics are individual sports, and you create an offense individually and you're punished individually. I don't think they'll look at it as a national thing. Yes, we are all sad and disappointed that that's happened, but there are other things that as a country that we should take into consideration. The Athletics Integrity Unit have told us some specific things we should take because our country is listed as a high-risk country because we have not been doing enough of our drug testing, we've not been doing enough of the parameters to prevent these young athletes from cheating. And as a nation, we must do those things so that we can be moved from category A away to category B and then category C, which is ultimately the safe country, and which means that they trust us a lot. But as long as we categorize as category A, it puts a shadow on the performance of any athlete from Nigeria. So administratively, we must try to do everything possible to move ourselves from greater category A to be downrated to the other category so that when an athlete performs from our country, everybody knows that they've gone through the rigorous testing and they are performing on the fair grounds. And that's the main thing.
Let me ask you this quickly. A few select African countries in the sub-Saharan, they hold most of the medals. Do you think the recent bans on some of athletes is a plot to subdue this? What are your thoughts?
No, there is no conspiracy behind it. We haven't been doing our homework. We just started that recently. We were fighting the fact that we were giants of Africa, but now we know that even giants have to work hard. We allowed ourselves to be caught up by the likes of Botswana, by South Africa, and also by Kenya, especially in our traditional areas of sprints and jumps. But now we've gotten back to the basics. We've gotten to get the younger ones. We've gotten to train the younger ones. We've gone back to help, which is not always the best thing, but it's for lack of proper infrastructure at home. The best to get to the American system, get our kids out there schooling and competing in some of the best schools. And I don't think that the disappointment of Blessing Okagbare, and of course we have to talk about that once in a while because someone that's carried a nation for so long, there was a lot of pressure on her, and we know that sometimes this pressure can lead to doing a lot of things. She was the only one in every championship, every Olympics, so we know that the burden was on her. But now when you have a crop of athletes, the pressure is on nobody exactly. You mentioned Tobi Amusa. Tobi Amusa is one of 10 athletes that can possibly win a world championship medal for us. So we have a lot of them now. So she wouldn't be carrying the burden. Nobody will be carrying the burden alone for Nigeria. So it's a better thing for us, and we hope that in the future we should continue our developmental process so that we don't run into that kind of situation where we're dependent on one singular athlete today.
Well, I want to say thank you so much for joining us here on Sports early this morning on Breakfast Central. That is Enefiok Udobong, Sydney 2004 by 400 meter winner. Thank you once again for being here.
Thank you very much, Joe. My pleasure.
In preparation of the all-important competitions all lined up, and also we spoke to an ex-international who definitely has won gold for Nigeria. That's 4x400 meter, a Sydney Olympic 2000 winner. I'm talking about Anifio Kudobo. But now let's tell you about the all-important one. Let's go straight to basketball, where it's got to do with the story of a Cameroonian basketballer, Mbid, who definitely had an altercation. It wasn't him that caused the altercation, by the way. It was indeed, many said it was an error, it was a mistake, but it was that elbow that you see there on the screen, which definitely affected his eye socket. Yes, it did. Well, the Sixers pivot is the victim of a fracture of the right eye socket. This will keep him out of action for an indefinite period. Now, he suffered a violent collision with his fellow Raptors on Thursday, 28 April, during Toronto's 132-97 playoff elimination by Philadelphia. The process, as he's always called, was injured on Thursday, 28 April, during Game 6 of the Eastern Conference playoffs against Toronto. The Sixers went on a 132-97 run against the Raptors, and Embiid scored 33 points and grabbed 10 rebounds. He's always doing that. He's that amazing. The Cameroonian fractured his eye socket when he collided with fellow Cameroonian. That's him there. His name is Pascal Sekam, who was trying to attack the circle as the Sixers led by 29 points. The Pennsylvania franchise said Joel Embiid also suffered a mild concussion. And we're hoping that he gets back on track. Let's bring it to a close quickly. In the world of sports, let's take it to CAF, where they have made mention of what should be expected in a game that is about to kick off. And that news is one news that we definitely will be talking about here. And that story is the news concerning Egyptian Football Association President, the one known as Gamal Alam. He has reached out to the Confederation of African Football, CAF, to request a neutral venue for the 2022 Champions League final. Only 4 teams are left in this season's competition, with defending champions Al Ahly, AS Sétif, Petro de Luanda, and of course Wydad Casablanca vying for Africa's biggest club prize, and it's always big. Morocco hosted the 2021 final between the Red Eagles and Kaizer Chiefs at the Mohammed V Stadium, and the EFA has urged CAF to choose another impartial country to stage a prestigious game this year. And I'm sure it's going to be very, 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 very amazing.